Hey everybody, I am continuing with some more fall layouts and ideas, and today I'm going to use the Full Moon Fun project recipe. We're going to have to make a few modifications to match up with what's still available on the website, because this project recipe is now a couple years old. So the nice thing about project recipes is that advisors have access to the whole library of project recipes that Creative Memories has ever released. And that's really fun, it gives us lots of ideas and options. But sometimes the tools featured in the project recipes have been discontinued. So today we're going to do a few things a little bit different. If you do have the ghost chain border maker cartridge, you can punch out the ghosts. But I'm going to be using this bats punch instead, which is not a chain, so it works a little bit differently, but I think it will still turn out really cute for this layout. If you need any supplies, you can order those from my website. If you're watching this right away, you might still have time to get this collection with a discount. So Creative Memories is offering a really short time, big discount on the current Halloween collections. So there's Full Moon Fun and there's also Happy Hauntings. And there are a couple tools, including the bats and the spiderweb frame punch, where you can get a pretty good discount for those fun tools and projects. For this project recipe, we're gonna need a bunch of different papers, 5 sheets altogether, and there's not just a single full sheet for a background, and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do instead. But we are gonna do some cutting on all of those sheets, and then we're gonna do a little bit of welding, which you've heard me talk about before and maybe seen me do on some of my videos. We need the border maker system or a border punch if you want to choose a different style. We're going to use the corner rounder a little bit and our 12-inch trimmer. And let's just jump in and start picking our papers. For this project recipe, we do need 1 sheet of black and 1 sheet of white cardstock. So I've got those pulled already. I pulled out all the stickers for this collection so we can look at them later and see what we want to use. This collection comes with a sheet of border stickers and 2 sheets of other stickers that are like icons and words and things. And then here is the paper pack, which is so cute. It has one of the sheets that's basically little cards and borders and things you can cut out. But on the back side, it's just kind of a monochromatic print. I haven't decided yet which papers I'm going to use, but I can show you on the cutting guides kind of what's going to help us make our decision about the papers. So first thing, this is our black cardstock, the one represented here in orange, and I apologize for the little lines if you can see those printed on my project recipe. My printer is on the fritz, I think. But the black cardstock is going to be a big section of the background for this left-hand page and then a little section on the right-hand page. And that's going to be the majority there. And they're recommending to save some of your strips of black paper as welding pieces. And I'll show you how that works when we get to it. The white cardstock is a big strip across the top of each page and then some borders punched that were ghosts here, but that we're gonna make into bats today. And then we've got 3 designer papers. So designer paper number 1 is mostly photo mats for some small photos that are going in a few different places on the paper. And 1 border punch, which was orange ghosts right here across the middle of this bottom border. And you don't have to choose that color, you can choose whatever you want. But you may want to choose a more neutral pattern for that one, at least on one side of the paper, so your border doesn't start looking too crazy once you punch that out. So the last 2 papers, I'm not sure that it says this. Oh yeah, it actually does in the instructions. But when you're choosing your papers, you want to pick designer paper 2 and 3 to be the same paper, most likely. You don't have to, but the reason for that is that the majority of that piece of paper is this bottom half of the background. So we're going to cut it into a big section that's 7 3/4 inches and then use the other pieces to be photo mats. So if you want your backgrounds to match, you will want to choose the same design for your paper. So this is that cute card and border piece that I was talking about. I really like this one, but I don't think it's great for this layout. This side would work pretty well if you want to have that green be maybe your large piece of your background over here, or use for your photo mats. But this is a little harder to work with. If you use it for designer paper number 1, you do have quite a bit of space left over, so you could cut around some of those and use them for other things. But this side would be okay for most of the pieces in this project recipe, or you can just save these sheets for something else. This is a really cute one that I like too. It's got a little haunted house in the bottom corner over here, and the back side is kind of just a dark and light green olivey print. So again, that one might be a little difficult to work with, but if you're using it for designer paper number 1 and you want to show this side, you could definitely use this part of the paper for all those photo mats and not interrupt your haunted house image. Or just use the back side of this paper as well. So this sheet is kind of pumpkins and gourds on the one side, and orange on the other side, which I think is supposed to look like pumpkin seeds. So that's kind of a good neutralish one, or this might be a fun background to use for the bottom halves of our pages, especially if you want it to be a little more generic fall and not so much specifically Halloween. Although a lot of these papers could go for lots of things besides Halloween as well. We've got the orange stars option, and this is the paper that was used in the example. So if you want it to look just like theirs, pick this paper, and that's going to be designer paper 2 and 3 for you. And you would use it for your stripes across the bottom of each page, and also for some photo mats on the back side. So you would have some of these orange stars as photo mats. We've got this kind of black and white plaid. It's kind of generic, and then on the back of that is some moons. So if you want something really dark on yours, that would be a good one to choose. Or if you want it to be a lot lighter or a lot more neutral and not focus so much on the orange and greens that are in this collection, that would be a good option as well. You could also use this to replace your black cardstock if you want to have something dark but printed. Or if you just don't have a piece of black cardstock and you have this paper pack. And same with the white. If you wanted more of this to be, it wouldn't be pure white, but you could do that instead of your white cardstock as well. And then here's the last design, which is the multicolored kind of, not dots, but they're little like diamonds. And then the zigzag light orange on the other side. And this is the one I think I'm gonna choose for my background. I like the white and light because we're gonna have a lot of dark in the black. I am gonna use the black cardstock for those pieces. So that's what I'm gonna choose for my pieces, designer paper 2 and 3. That'll be the large background pieces and also a couple photo mats. And then I need to choose one more designer paper that's going to be the smaller photo mats. So since I chose this one that has the light orange on the back, I want something that's going to kind of look good with that. Maybe this pumpkin seed, it's kind of a similar color. And could coordinate with that. Or the gourds if we're going to focus more on maybe like going to a pumpkin patch or our jack-o'-lanterns or something like that. Just looking at where that's going to be used. In this cutting guide, you can see designer paper number 1 is green. So you can see where it lays out over here, that those are the spots where this paper would show up. And just thinking about whether I want to bring in more of the green instead from this paper that had the haunted house. That might be fun too, because I'll have a lot of the light orange and I would have some green as well. Maybe I will wait and decide on that after I cut up my other pieces. So let's start with the other ones first, and then I'll decide which of these is going to be my designer paper number 1. So we can move backwards through this project recipe cutting guide. We've got 2 sheets that are going to get cut the same. And for my layout, I want to cut across this way because I want the multicolored kind of almost stripes to be showing. Grab my trimmer out, and I need to open the arm because I'm measuring 7 3/4 inches. And I'm just going to stack these and cut them at the same time since we're cutting the same on both of them. So that's going to be our large background piece across the bottoms of the 2 pages. And then I've got this piece that is 4 1/4 inch. And I'm going to cut it into 2 photo mats. And again, this is the stacked 2 pieces that we just trimmed off those other ones. I'm going to cut it to 6 1/4 inches. And then the other piece is 5 3/4. Okay, looks good. So I've got a couple different photo mats here. These will most likely get used on the light orange side. When I'm cutting my project recipe pieces, I like to set them down in my stacks with the design facing up that I'm going to use instead of just everything going the same way. I find that is a little more helpful for me. It doesn't make it very confusing. If you have some sticky notes, it's also handy to mark your pieces with the ABC letters in the guide. I've got 2 sheets of cardstock. Our black cardstock has 2 little welding pieces. And then 1 piece that is 7 3/4 again. And I should probably cut those 2 inches off first, actually. I'm realizing. Let's go this way. So the 2 inches that will become part of our welding pieces. I'll set that aside for now. We can deal with that in a little bit. When this gets rotated, we only want it to be 11 inches. So you can measure your 11 over there or your 1 over here. So that's an extra as well. So now we've got an 11-inch piece that's going to get cut to 7 3/4. And then the other side is 2 1/4 inches. And these pieces are actually going to get rounded on the corners, which it doesn't show here in the cutting guide, but it does have in the instructions, and you can see just the outside corners of those are rounded. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. If you have a different style of corner rounder, or maybe a little bit of a different shape, that might also be fun here. Or if you like the look of the notch that goes the other direction instead of the rounded corner. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog drinking in the background. He decided this is the best time to get a really long drink. His water bowl is across the room, but I feel like it's super loud, so maybe you can hear it on the video. Okay, and with our white cardstock, we're gonna punch out a couple of borders. and then cut out 2 pieces that are 4 1/4 inch long. 4 1/4 by 12, so the whole width of the paper. There are those ones. And let's punch our borders out. So instead of the ghosts, we're doing bats today because bats are still available on the Creative Memories website. The ghosts sold out probably in the year that they came out, which was 2021. Sometimes you can still find some of those older border maker cartridges, but man, sometimes people are really trying to gouge you and want to charge 2 or 3 times what the original one was if you get them on eBay or something. I would recommend going to your advisor first. Sometimes advisors have a stash of retired products. Not everybody does. And sometimes things are just too old even for them to have more of. Or maybe they've sold out of all the ones that they've had in the past. This punch has some really, really cute confetti. I love the little bats and ghosts. So this is a fun one to like keep if you had a little baggie of confetti from your punches. And I am gonna actually punch out some extra little bats from probably some of our leftover black cardstock, so we can use those as little extra embellishments on the paper or on our layout. And I'm just gonna punch out both sides of my strip, and then I will trim this down to size. Because if we were to punch one and then trim it, it makes your piece pretty skinny and difficult to work with. It's not impossible, and there are some good tricks for that. Like if you put sticky notes on the edges of your paper that's a little bit too skinny to fit in the border maker system, that helps you keep it in place. I believe the size for trimming is 1 1/8 inch when you punch like this. Let me double check before I actually cut. Where's that going to end up? So I've got it lined up at 1 1/8 of an inch. And one of the nice things about this trimmer is it's got these little guides on both sides that will show you exactly where the blade is going to cut. So if you want to make sure you're lined up well, or that you're not cutting through a part of the paper or something that you really wanted to include, these will help you get it in the right spot. So 1 1/8 inch is good. That's going to give us kind of an equal amount of border above and below the design. Do the same thing on this side. Got a little bit of extra white. We can save it for something on this project or use it for something else later. And now comes the hard part of deciding what our last paper is going to be. So the places it's going to get used, again, we're going to punch one border that goes in the middle. So these 2 white ones, we'll kind of lay it top and bottom. And this is what we would consider a knockout style punch. It doesn't punch anything off the edge of the paper. It doesn't punch your design away from the paper, but it punches out the little confettis that create the design along the edge. So that's why we need to cut it to get the strips. Looking at what we want to include for our bats. Do we want it to be more bright orange? Do we want it to be some green? Difficult decisions. I think I'm going to go with green. Let's do it. So we're going to punch one along an edge, and for this paper I would either do the top or the side. I think I'm going to go with the side on this one because I don't want to punch through my cute haunted house. If I'm going to have some left over from this paper, I would like it to be that part. punch out some bats over here. And then cut that to the same size, 1 1/8 of an inch. So we've got our 3 strips here. Now we need to cut out the other photo mats that come from this piece. And this is all 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, and that's the size of our mats. I'm gonna check out how, if I go to 4 1/4, where do I end up? I still have a good section with my haunted house, so I'm happy with that. And the cutting guide shows that we would actually cut out 1 square here and then 3 rectangles here. I'm going to do mine a little different. So from that strip I just cut that was 4 1/4, I'm going to cut the big 4 1/4 piece first. And then I'm going to cut 2 of the 3 1/4 pieces. And I'm going to show you why I'm going to do that in just a sec. That leaves me with a little bit of extra. And I'm not going to cut the 4th piece from that, or the 4th little section. In the example, the 4th piece is actually a journal box. And for one thing, I think the green is maybe a little dark for most journaling. Like, it's gonna not show up as well as it did in the example in the light orange color. But also, I showed you that cute page from this collection that has all the little boxes and things. I think I'd rather find something from that sheet and cut it to work with this page. So that is what I'm gonna plan on at the moment. We'll see if that works out. We're ready to start putting these papers together. I'm gonna set aside the extras for now. And because we don't have a full sheet of a background, we have to do some piecing. So what's gonna happen now is the large piece we cut out for the bottom is gonna match up with the white strip that's going to be the top of each page. And because of the sizes, we're basically at exactly 12 inches tall. And I'm just using this other background as my guide for 12 inches. Actually, let me just get a different piece of paper. That'll make it easier to see. Okay, so this sheet is 12 by 12. We're gonna have a strip of white at the top. We're gonna do the same thing for each side of the layout. And then this wider strip of our multicolored, and it barely overlaps, but like basically not at all. So there's not really any space for this to adhere to each other, and that's why we need a welding piece. So these pieces are kind of just going to butt up against each other, and then on the back we're going to attach a section that overlaps the 2 pieces so they'll stick together. And that's what this piece was for. So it was recommended to cut this in half. And the exact size doesn't matter, but 1 inch wide is a pretty substantial amount. So you can get it overlapped well and attached on both sides. And for the welding pieces, unless you're going to just attach this straight down to an album page, if you're working with like the white or colored Creative Memories album pages, I would definitely use the regular adhesive for your welding pieces. It's a little bit stronger than repositionable tape. And I think you'll have an easier time keeping your pages together. So if you're gonna like slide this finished page into a page protector, this is what I would definitely recommend. If you're gonna just put this straight onto an album page, you don't need to worry about a welding piece at all. You can just attach each of these pages down, or maybe you don't need the white up here because you've already got a white background. Up to you. Depends on your scrapbooking style. I'm just gonna line these two papers up. And I put the adhesive on here, on my welding piece. I'm gonna get those together. And even with the welding piece, if you get that nicely lined up, that's not a bad background by itself. So you could use that for something else. I tend to not scrapbook on both sides of my papers, but I know some people do. So that's a good option if you want to make this page look nice so you can use it for something else. That's very cute for Halloween colors or for something else. So we're going to do the same thing with the other two pieces. Just line them up with each other. And you don't have to do a ton of adhesive. You might want to do a little bit more than I do. I tend to not use a lot. But you don't have to wallpaper the entire piece with adhesive. They'll stick together with just a little bit strategically placed. You want to get a good amount toward the end of your pieces. And definitely some in the middle, but you don't have to cover the whole thing. One little piece of tape come off. Okay, so there's the backs, but here are our fronts for the page we're going to use. Oh, looks like I didn't get these ones real close. Let me try that again. Line that up a little better. Okay, now we don't have a gap. So we've got our backgrounds put together and welded. And you can use that welding technique for lots of things. It's especially good if you wanted to do, maybe you have two matching pieces and you don't have more, but you want to show both sides. You could cut them right in half, flip them over and do like a 6-inch or 6-inch back and forth with your two papers. Maybe the way I explained that did not make very much sense. Maybe I should show that sometime, but in my mind it made sense. Okay. So we've got our two pieces of black, and those are going to go toward the outside of each page. And then our other pieces are going to kind of layer on top of these. I did around the edges, the outside corners of each one. You don't have to do that if you don't like that. But I'm going to just center these pieces top to bottom and then make the spacing kind of similar on the side. I'm not measuring, but if I had to guess, I would say this is about a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch from the top and bottom. Oh yeah, and that makes sense because this is an 11-inch tall piece now because we cut 1 inch off. So about 1/2 inch from the top and bottom, about 1/2 inch from the side. And then get the one over here going the same way. And it doesn't have to be exact. You could measure if you want it to really be exact. Or a lot of times I'll just swap my pages and make sure they look like pretty similar in the other direction. Although when they go together, it's going to be this way with the black parts on the outside and the bats are going to go across here. And I thought any color would work well for these bats because the background that's actually showing through behind them is the black, which is perfect for bats. So So you're basically going to do your stripes across here, or your strips, your border strips across here on the two sides, covering the black, and trim so that you've got a little bit for each side of your page. You can do your trimming with scissors, you can do your trimming on a trimmer. Since I know the width of this piece and this piece, I'm going to do it with my trimmer, and I can just make it the right width to start. You could also attach these pieces to your black pieces before you put them down on the page. So if you wanted to just attach and then trim with scissors, that's another easy way to do it. So I'm just stacking up all my little bat borders. They are going to be 7 3/4 on this side. Oh, that's only 7 1/2. Keep going. 7 3/4. That's going to be my bats over here. And on this side, the size was 2 1/4. And so we've got a little bit extra that we don't really need. 2 1/4. And a little bit of bats that we're not going to end up using. Okay, then we're just going to stack. Whoops, that was the wrong adhesive. I actually, as I was putting that on, I was thinking, oh, repositionable adhesive is great for this because it's got all the little holes. And then I grabbed the wrong adhesive anyway. I'll come back to that piece. We'll start with this guy and use this one this time, because that's what I meant. Oh, it looks like I actually cut them even a little bit too small. That's okay. I'm not too worried about it. I'll give them a little border on each side. And then I'll try to make the other side look the same. And give it just a little bit of a border, which might mean I have to trim these down a little depending on the measurements. Yep, oh funny. I actually trimmed this one just a little long, trimmed the other one just a little short. And since the short trimming cannot be undone, now I will short trim everything. Yeah, that's fine. So we'll just have a little extra black on the edges of that. And if you were a little more careful with yours as you were cutting and measuring, hopefully you will not have that problem. Just rub off the extra. Well, guess where I'm going to be putting a sticker. That's fine. Not the end of the world. I can definitely cover up that little bit where I wasn't able to get the other adhesive off. Okay, I just want to line up at about the same height all my borders on this side with the repositionable adhesive, not regular. You could use your regular adhesive on this. You just would have to be a little more careful about it than I was when I put down that first swatch, because that was too much and covered up some of our cute bats and stars. And I lined my designs all up, but if you wanted them to be a little offset because you've got some extra space on these cutouts or on these border punch outs, you don't have to line them up exactly with the design like that. Maybe you want your bats a little bit offset on each layer. I've actually made this layout before using the ghost punch when that was current. And it's such a cute punch. You could also do, there have been some different pumpkin punches that would be really cute for this too. But when I did my ghosts, I wanted my ghosts to be offset. So I did one set of ghosts, like the example shows, one set of ghosts kind of going one direction, one set of ghosts going the other direction. So they weren't all exactly lined up. Okay, we've got some bat borders. We're ready for our photo mats, which are right here. So most of the mats, or at least the bigger mats, are these ones here. We've got O and R are the letters they're calling them here. And they are the two large mats, one from each sheet that we cut. And those are kind of offset there. And then we've got our two smaller mats that are 4.5 inches by 5 3/4. That are gonna go the other direction on this page. Then we've got our smaller photo mats that were cut out of the other sheet, and I chose the green for mine, and they could be used on either side, just with the ones I cut out. The two smaller ones are gonna go over here, and the one bigger one over here. So this was the point where I wanted to maybe fiddle with this a little bit and also look at the other options that we have from our cards, essentially, that you could cut from this sheet of paper. Okay, after deliberating a little bit, I decided to cut two pieces out of that sheet, and I cut them a little bit different from what the exact outline was. This is a nice little kind of multi-piece journaling box that I thought would look good here, but I wanted to include some of this green so it brings in more of what's going on with my photo mats. And then I also like this one just for some extra journaling, and since it's just decoration over here, I thought that would be fun to maybe include a little bit extra journal space. And again, I wanted to bring in some of the green. So I ended up kind of stealing a little bit of one of the neighboring mats between these two, so I could include a little bit more green on this one and on this one and have them match. So that's what I decided for those. I'm also gonna attach some stickers once we get this all down, but I'm gonna go ahead and put the photo mats together with the tape runner now. Okay, so now we've got our pieces all attached to the page. We've got some room for journaling in a few different places. And I have used this collection before, so I have a few leftover stickers from the last time I used it. I'm gonna just try to focus on using those and maybe place them in some of the same places that the example has, but also covering up my one little weird spot I did with the tape. So what would I like to include? I do like this little tag, and I kind of like how they placed it here, and it brings in some more of the green, which I want to put in some more green in some of the spots that don't have that yet. That's one thing I'm going to be looking for in these stickers is where can I bring in a little bit more of this green, maybe in some places where it isn't yet, and also this darker orange that just shows up in my journal spots and a little bit in the background, but isn't prominent in my photo mats. So that is a good one. I like the trick or treat basket. That's cute. We've got some words. I'm not going to do any border stickers on this one just because I've already got borders going on with my bat punches. I think I am going to punch out some extra bats from the black paper we had left over, just to use, not as a border, but as some little bat decorations. So I'm not being real precise about lining it up. Just punching a few of those out so I have them to place around my page. And I could use some of the white or green ones also. So maybe that's a way to incorporate some green into the spots that don't have it yet. I like the boo, and it has a little bit of the green and the darker orange. Spooktacular is really cute. That was something that was used in the example. I thought, oh yeah, it is. It's up here at the top. But let's start with, maybe we'll do costume contest up here, which I don't know if that's really what's going to be on this page, but it's cute. It's a cute idea. And it helps me get some of that green that I'm looking for. Costume contest. Maybe this cluster of pumpkins as well. Maybe that'll go down here. Kind of like that. We can do some little, kind of these confetti-ish stickers of some different sizes and shapes. Use this orange one up here. And maybe yellow, and what else? Have the black one too. And do another little cluster of those in another spot or two. I like this traditions word. Just overlap on this mat a tiny bit. And I think I will bring not sure if that's the spot for that one. You know what, let's scoot this over so he can be, a little basket can be at the corner of those two things. And then I'll move traditions over to be next to it. Can put a few little candy corns around as well. Maybe candy corn up here. Oh, and we've got some other candies. So that's fun. Looking for where this little lollipop one fits and would be cute. So some little candies around. And then let's do a few more of these little star looking clusters. Maybe one up here. What else do I have that was that other shape? Oh, okay, I've got yellow or green. The yellow one's probably good. Right there. Maybe another one right down here too, just to bring that all kind of together. Use this white one here. And a yellow. And what else? Do my little clusters of 3. I don't have to always do that, but 3s tend to look nice together. And then I want to attach some of these bats, and I do have a precision point adhesive that I'm going to use for that. I'm just going to put a bat or 2 here and there. And there's some of the bigger ones and also some smaller ones. I'm going to try to use a little bit of both. Oop. The stars are cute too, but I don't want to do those for this layout. Just some bats. And it just takes a little bit of the adhesive, as long as you get it on there and get your pieces adhered. It does not take very much precision point adhesive to attach your little pieces down. In fact, if you use too much, it ends up looking a little weird because sometimes it either leaks out the side, like you've got just like some extra shiny stuff that you probably didn't want there, or it can make your paper warp because then your paper is wet. Let's see, I'll put another little one right down with this group. So usually less is more with the precision point adhesive, but it's a really good adhesive for things that are small, for your laser cut embellishments, things that are delicate and little. Well, I don't know, what do you think? We're gonna have a photo up here, photo in each of these spots. We'll do a little bit of journaling. You still have room for a title or something if you want to include some more stickers or some letters, but I think that's a really fun collection and a fun, nice layout. So if you wanted to take this and use it for something besides Halloween, you could use any other punch and do a similar thing either with a chain, like the ghosts are a chain here that would punch away from your paper, or to just trim your knockout punch away after you've punched that. So would be great for other fall things, would be great for really anything. The idea of this layout is very multi-purpose. You could take this and use the cutting guide with any of your papers and any theme. Does not have to be Halloween. Just saw one more place. I want a bat right here by these pumpkins. Do 2 bats, a big one and then a little one. Okay, I'll stop fiddling with it. At a certain point, sometimes I'm like, I should have just stopped earlier. But that's what we've got for our layout. So the original looked something like this with the example. A little bit of adjustment and some different papers give us another look, but still very similar, really cute, very functional for all sorts of layouts. This is a really good design. I'd love to hear from you and see what you're gonna do with it. And remember to go order your Halloween stuff right away if you're watching this video as soon as it comes out, because it is on sale on the website right now. Thanks.